Hello, everyone. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 15 of my LinkedIn Live series. I'm joined today by Kent Van Ho. He is the founder of Alpha Coast. He's an executive coach and the creator of Client Accelerator. So he has a lot of history, a lot of experience with being an entrepreneur, starting his own business, helping others do the same. So it'll be a great topic today about how to transition to entrepreneurship. How are you doing today, Kent?
Hey, Steven, thanks for having me. I'm doing great.
Great, good to have you on. I know we were talking about having this for a while, and it's good to have you on here as a guest.
I know, was it like 3 months ago? It's
Yeah,
been a while. But you're really busy hosting this kind of event. So I wouldn't mind, popping in and provide some value, any value I can provide to your audience.
yeah, definitely. And then you told me that you wanted to start your own LinkedIn live show. How's that going?
Well, first starting out, I did what you had suggested, which is do a poll and see if anybody interested. To my surprise, I almost got the first 2 months booked out. So it's incredibly fulfilling to know that people are really interested in sharing their story
Hmm.
and sharing the mistakes that they made, and they wish somebody was there to pull them out. And so their success stories and a couple mistakes and the wisdom from those mistakes, I say they're priceless because you learn so much, right, from those mistakes. Yeah.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I look forward to seeing your LinkedIn live show. This should be a lot of fun, right? Because again, we're here. I'm hosting this because we all have a lot of experiences to share, right? This is why I bring on a different guest every single week. We all have different perspectives, different experiences. So I really admire what you're doing, right? Getting other people as guests, sharing their experiences as well.
yeah, there's so many stories out there that needs to be shared with the world. I think the best way for us to lift each other up is to share our experiences, right? And when you share your experiences through a story, it's captivating. Something about stories that just draw people in, and everybody share very similar life journeys, very similar challenges, right? And we can be there and know that, hey, you're not the only one doing it. You're not the only one experiencing that. I myself have gone through the same challenge, And then if you had like I don't know, mental hack or some kind of quick tips or something to help people out, why not? Why not share that with the world? So that's my whole thing with the live stream and my show is just to pull that out of people and then help other people out.
Hmm. Yeah, I love that. And what you said is, you're not the only person going through this experience, this challenge, whatever, right? So we all have things we can learn from other people. So yeah, look forward to seeing your LinkedIn live show. You plan to have it weekly, or how often do you have plan to having it?
Yeah, weekly, weekly, Stephen. Weekly is enough because I do have a lot on my plate. So I plan to do 45, 60 minute weekly with folks, and there seems to be a lot of interest already.
Mhm.
And you're not going to spend 45, 60 minutes, right? You're going to spend a lot more than that to prepare and prep.
Mhm.
So I think that should be enough. Weekly is
Yeah, and then my advice to you is once you get the first couple going, you get that routine. It just becomes a lot easier, right? And it's just a conversation. These LinkedIn lives are just conversation. It's just you talking to a good friend and catching up and sharing your experiences with each other. So
yeah.
I
That's why
look
I
forward
love
to seeing your show.
Yeah, I love what you're doing, Stephen. I think there's so many people out there, like you said, you help shy, introvert, engineers, right? And try to find people. And I think you're doing a great job with that. You used to be one, and now you're sharing your experience so that others can benefit from it. It's a very, very similar storyline that I'm
Yeah,
doing. Yeah.
yeah, I appreciate that, Kent. That means a lot. So before we get into our topic, Kent, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Ken Van Ho. I used to be in the corporate world for 17 years at this company right here, Cisco. I still have the mug, by the way. It's been a while, but I still have the mug. Right out of college, I've been there, and I've been there since. And after 17 years, I realized that I have two different choices: continue working in the corporate world or starting my own business. And I took the leap of faith, and I realized that for me to hit my goal, it's all about where you want to go, right? And the best path to get to your goal. at the time, the best path for me was pretty obvious, was to leave the corporate world and running my own show, starting my own business. And it's been 3.5 years now since I left. So I've been doing that. I founded Alpha Coast, and what we do is we essentially partner up with business owners, especially online service-based business owners, and help them grow their business online. Yeah. So it has been a very rewarding journey. It has been very challenging as well. But overall, I'm glad I made the decision I made, and that got me to where I'm at today.
Yep. So yeah, make sure you check out Kent's website here, www.alphacoast.com. And yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about your journey,
Sure.
what you learned, your challenges. But let's start at the beginning. How do you start your entrepreneurship journey? So I'd like to hear from your specific journey, and maybe you have some tips for others on how to start their entrepreneurship journey.
Well, it all started out with me just sitting at my cubicle at Cisco, and you just after years, right? Years after years doing very similar type of work. Although I did jump from one project, one unit to another unit, one organization to another organization. But the similarity is still there. You know, you similarly you just go to work, do your thing, and you come home, and then you kick back and you go back and you go to work, and every day is almost very similar. Especially when you're in the position more than a year, you already have gone through that learning phase, the learning curve of a new position. So I got pretty bored, and I got pretty I feel unfulfilled at work. After 17 years, and I'm like, I need to change. I need to do something. And I thought to myself, the corporate world is always going to be there. Why not make a change? Why not make something? Why not do something different? You know. So that's how I started it. I was not very 100% fulfilled at my job, at my work, and I know that if I were to continue doing that, I'm gonna be the same as the guy next to me. As you all know, right? Cisco has tons of baby boomers. And they're 10, 15, 20 years ahead of you. And so if you do another 10 or 15 years, it's going to be the same guy next to you. It's not much. It's not so hard to guess where you're going to end up. That's how it is. Not to say that it's bad or good. It's just if that's where you end up want to go, then that's fine. That's totally okay to continue doing that. But for me, I had more aspirations to do something fulfilling for myself, and that's why I want to try something different. And I know that there is a business inside of all of us, some kind of business in there, and when I decided to make jump, it wasn't overnight decision. No, it's a pretty drastic jump. So I did have that idea with me for some time. I would say at least 2 3 years prior to that. But I never made the decision to jump because I was just comfortable. I was just too comfortable at work. I mean, I get to work from home. Cisco allows you to work from home, depending on the department you're working in. But I was able to work from home at least like 3 days a week, or sometimes four, and I was having semi-location freedom already. I don't have to be in the office all the time, and I was doing you know well, and I was being comfortable. And I don't really particularly enjoy not growing as fast as I wanted to grow, but at least I'm pretty comfortable and all of that. And I wanted to, and I got bored with the same position for about 5 years. Right after 5 years, I got pretty bored. I'm like, man, there got to be something else I can do. I can either jump or stay at where I'm at, or jump to another company. So that was the trigger actually. It was that I was not feel I was bored, and I needed to change. That's how I made the decision. To skip corporate world. or at least take a break from it.
Hmm.
It's been 3.5 year break now, and I don't intend to come back. I'll continue to do what I'm doing. Unless I'm bored over here, then I might try it out again. But I don't see that happening yet.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that. There was a lot of good information, a lot of good experiences for all of us to digest, and I just want to touch on a couple points you made, and this is what I share with a lot of my clients, a lot of people that I help on LinkedIn. First thing is, if you're in a job and you feel like you're not growing, you're bored, it's time for a change. And like you said, okay, I'm gonna start my own entrepreneurship journey. I'm gonna start something new, or you just you leave the company, or you find a new role, right? So I mean, it's the thing you said. I agree with you said about with corporate, you're comfortable, you get a guaranteed paycheck, right?
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, it's a routine. You're not growing anymore. You're just doing the same thing every single day. So if you feel that at any stage in your career, you just have to take that take that extra push, right? You might need someone to help you, urge you. Most of it has to come from within, but you have to make that decision to, okay, I can't do this anymore, right? I'm not growing. Yes, the paycheck is nice, but I'm not fulfilled, and I think that's the key, right? Don't take your job as your full career, right? Your career is what you want to make out of it. So the job is only one part of it. Anything else you want to
100%.
add to that?
No, I mean that's exactly what I felt when I went through. I didn't have a coach or a mentor, but I know that I did do a lot of soul searching and read a lot of books and whatnot. But at the end of the day, if you're not growing, you're dying. It doesn't
Mm,
matter whether you're in the corporate world or outside, right? You have to be growing. You have to constantly improve yourself, make progress. And being in the job, it's just that it's not that you're not growing, especially when you're in the job, you just do the in the out. It's very much like repetitive. And if you're not growing in that, then you gotta find another
mhm.
continue to grow. You know, growth and making progress is key. So
Yep.
that way you don't get stuck,
Hmm.
right? If you get stuck, then you feel like you're not contributing. You're not contributing, you're not growing, and you don't feel valued anymore. So that's what I felt like after going from one project to another. After 2 3 years, I was project. The last one was probably my longest. I stayed there more than 5.5 years.
Mm.
And that's like, yeah, I didn't make a big change, you know, and that's what I did. And I think there's a lot of people out there that are in the same shoe that I was. I think that they don't have to be in the same position, right? If they feel stuck or they feel unfulfilled, they can make a change.
Yep. Hmm.
Don't feel like you have no options. There's so many options out there. I didn't realize there were so many options out there in this side of the world. Even the other side, even in the corporate side too, there's so many options that you can do, right? To change your situation.
Yeah. Yeah. At the end of the day, it's up to you to change the situation. So, maybe you're inspired by Kent's
Mhm.
story here, but it's up to you to make that change. So, you've been on this entrepreneurship journey for the last 3.5 years. Let's start with the positive. What are some of the benefits? What are some of the good things that you've been able to go through so far in your last 3.5 years?
Well, the obvious benefits that I see coming out is that I have time, location, and financial freedom. You know, um, the one that I always value the most is I want to take more vacation in 2 weeks a year. You know what I mean? Like sometimes even less because like some companies they use Christmas and holiday as one of the week already. 1 of 2 weeks. So I always wanted to take vacation whenever I wanted to take vacation. That's like the obvious, the ultimate benefit for me. But besides that, I mean, um, it's not always rainbow and sunshine. Um, the benefits are great. You don't have to clock in or go to work at 8 9 and come back at 4 or 5 or whatever. Sometimes you work long hours,
Mm,
like really long hours. Sometimes you work like only a couple hours. So you just put your own hours and you set your own hours. You're basically your own boss. But at the same time, there's a lot of moving parts.
hmm
When you run your own shell, right? When you run your own business, there's so much that's going on behind the scene, and you have to have like a structure, a disciplined life, or else it can be very overwhelming. So the benefits of owning your own business is you the growth is there's is the sky, like the sky is the limit, right? You basically have control of that. The more output you do, the more input you get. It just basically that is it. Especially when you're solving a problem that the market needs. You know, um, the other benefit I see is that I have more time with my family.
Mm.
I'll spend more time with the kids. I get to go to their events, their shows, and things like that. That I can't do otherwise when I was unless I plan it with the mom, right? But because one of us don't have a corporate job, we're more flexible.
Yeah.
I now can take the kids wherever like they need me. If their mom is in the corporate world, so she's has a fixed schedule. She can be flexible sometimes, but not as flexible as I and I get to travel. The other benefit is I get to travel, and I went. You can go, I can take my business anywhere. That's
Mm-hmm.
where location freedom, right? Having an online business, I was able to conduct my business in Cancun for a whole entire month. That was during COVID,
Yeah.
and I got an Airbnb out there, and I set up my home office, and I just worked out there for the whole entire month. And so that's the real benefit of it is that you're not stuck to one location, you know, and you don't have to sell your entity in the U.S. to buy another entity in Mexico.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you can just move over there and work over there. Especially the time zone is very similar. So that's like there's a lot of benefit to it, but at the same time, it takes a lot of planning,
Mm-hmm.
um, planning ahead. But I think there's just some key things that I think if anybody wants to make the transition, they have to plan it out
Mm-hmm.
strategically so that they don't shoot themselves in the foot and that or make these mistakes that I made when I first started out. There's a lot of mistakes I made for sure. I'm not perfect, like just like anyone. There's a lot, but I think because of those mistakes, I think those mistakes needs to be shared so that
Mm.
other people behind you who wants to do the same thing or who has the motivation and the discipline to do it, they can avoid those costly mistakes. And there's two type of mistakes, right? There's time and there's money. Like those are the two most valuable things, right? Time is probably the most valuable. Like what can you do to compress time so that you can send trenches? Most entrepreneurs do. It takes like 5 years to start making income. You know. So yeah. So those are the obvious benefits. You get to travel when you want to travel. You know, you work whenever you want to work, and in terms of earnings, you can earn whenever as much as you want to earn. All depends on how big of a problem you're solving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like those. Like how you broke it down with those three benefits. You got the time flexibility, location flexibility, and the money flexibility. So right now I do the LinkedIn career coaching, but I still have my corporate job, right? So at least for me, the time flexibility is the available times that you can book a call with me, or when I help my clients, it's after my work hours. So after 5:30 p.m. or first thing in the morning, I post on
Mhm.
LinkedIn, so it doesn't conflict with my time thing. But I really like your your location flexibility. You can do it anywhere you want while on vacation. With work, it's like at least for my current job, I'm working from home. I'm fully remote, but there's a lot of jobs where you physically have to be at work in order to get work done. You can't like manufacture something when you're on vacation. And then even when you're on vacation, you can set your own hours as well, right? You don't have to be forced to,
Yeah.
oh, maybe I only want to do a couple hours today, or you can set off your time. You can take your kids to the beach. So you have that flexibility as well. So those are really, really great benefits. Unfortunately, with some benefits, you have some challenges. You touched on a couple of them. Where were some of the major challenges you had I think one thing I wanted to ask you was, when you made that transition, did you have challenges not finding the time, but allocating the time to your entrepreneurship without having a conflict with family life, with work life?
Absolutely. Time was a huge thing when you first starting out, right? Because you're not sure what's gonna happen. That's the thing. And the other thing is, I realized this. I wish I realized this before. Is that when you're first starting out, you're basically jumping on a new train, right? So the current train that I was on was basically the corporate train. You wake up at 7 or 6:30 or 7. You get breakfast. You get the kids ready for school, and then you drive to work, or you work from home, right? And you go to work. 12:05, you clock out. You go home. Maybe you have a beer, turn on the TV, have dinner, spend a little time with family, and then you go to sleep. And then the next day, you repeat the whole process.
Mm-hmm.
That's the train that the corporate life, people in the corporate world. I was on that same train for 17 years. So realizing that you were on that train for such a long time is the first step, because when you realize that train has been taking you for so many years, it's very hard to change it. The momentum has always been there. Your scheduling has always been the same for a fixed number of years, right? So um, I didn't realize that that's going to be resistance, like major resistance to my schedule.
Mm.
And so I had to, um, and I had to deal with that mentally. But if you realize that that's going to be a resistance, you mentally prepare for it. Then you're mentally going to be like, okay, this is normal. Like this is normal. Like what I'm feeling right now is normal because I used to do this. Now I can't do that anymore. So I have to prepare around working late hours sometimes, or working earlier than usual, right? And and so just knowing that I don't have the luxury to come home from work and pop a beer, and kick back on the TV, and the next day go back to work and still get paid, right? I don't have that luxury. When you
Mm.
when you start your own online business, or business, or online business, it doesn't matter. Every actions, every decision that counts.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You don't have the luxury of just kicking back, especially when you're trying to launch something brand new. It's like having a new baby, and you have to like cater to that baby 24/7. Every little thing counts. So your level of alert is like up there,
Mm-hmm.
way up there, because you're basically surrounding yourself with all kinds of different things that are distracting you from getting the work done. And one thing that had always creeping back that I want people to realize is that you're gonna when you drop the corporate world and you go back to go entrepreneurship, you're gonna your mind is gonna be like, go back and get another job, go back to the corporate world, because you're not gonna make money right away.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the scariest thing. You're not gonna make money right away, and your other self is gonna tell you to go back what's comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And if you make a decision to jump, and it takes a lot of courage to do that, you have to follow through with it and push through with it, and give yourself no option but to make it work. Although you do have an option, right? You got the bachelor degree, a master, and years of experience for a reason. You can always go back. But if you give yourself no option, and just know that pushing through it, it's gonna be uncomfortable, and that's normal. That's normal, but people don't realize that. And they just so just push through it, and realize that it's gonna be uncomfortable for the next 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. And the most uncomfortable part is if you're gonna jump all in with 2 feet, 2 hands, and all of that, and drop the biweekly paycheck, like how I did it. It's very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Very uncomfortable. You're dipping into your savings, and that's going to mess with your head. But but if but if you give up, then you're losing. You're basically going back to square one. So once you make a decision to jump, you have to give yourself everything you got. You can't. I don't have. When I did it, I didn't have the luxury of going back and pick up a beer and I'll go out on the weekends and get drunk with my friends. I didn't have that luxury.
Mm-hmm.
I had to lock them out for a few months. I'm like, guys, I have to lock myself out of this whole entire train because I can't continue that train. It's like on the weekend you hang out, you party, which is normal. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you have a baby that you're trying to feed and grow for your business, you don't have that luxury. Your baby takes precedence. And just realizing that is a game changer.
Mm-hmm.
So no friends, no Netflix, no binge watching for at least a few months. Just to get into the rhythm of it, and it's gonna be uncomfortable at first. So that's something that I wish somebody had shared it with me when I was first starting out. Like, man, this is so uncomfortable. It just messing with my head.
Yeah.
And just to give your friends heads up that hey, don't try to pull me out on my weekends because I need to do this thing, or otherwise I have to go back and get another job.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for sharing that, right? And I think that's what a lot of people, as you said, underestimate. If especially like you say you went all in, you couldn't kind of test it out first up front.
You can test. I did test it out first up front. I did test it out on the side while I was doing the nightlife. And what ended up happening was that my job pulled my attention away, and then the business pulled my attention away.
Mm.
I'm not saying that it wouldn't work. It works for some people, but for me, it's just too distracting.
Yeah.
And I got all my ducks lined up, financially stable at that time. I'm willing to go 12 months without a paycheck. That was my game plan.
Mm-hmm.
And I was okay with that. So I planned it all out.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna give 100% attention on this baby, and that's when things started rolling for me. But I mean, I know some people have a side hustle and they do that on the weekends and nights, but you already know your 9 to 5 training is so strong. It's really hard to work on the side on the weekend and then at night trying to make something work. And even if it does, it takes a while
Mm-hmm.
to get to a certain level, right? But if you put 100% of your effort and energy into it, then you can launch and you can scale so much faster.
Yeah, and that's what I realized as well, right? Because I've been doing this side hustle for 2 months now, or sorry, 2 years now, and I mean I have I have my corporate job. It's hard for me to quit my corporate job, have no income and try to build up something to replace that, right? So that's that challenge that I'm facing that you explained very well. And it's just I don't if you have that financial freedom, like you said, absolutely go do it because you can take a couple months off from your corporate job, build up the structure. And the key is you can't start an entrepreneurship journey or you can't build up an entrepreneurship journey unless you have that structure in place. And that structure takes a lot of time to build up. So the longer, the more time you put into it, the quicker it is to build up. But if you, like you said, you spend weekends, nights on it, it's not every weekend, it's not every night because you're tired from your regular day job. It's just going to take a while to build up. And that's exactly what I face, right? Because I built it up to a certain point. It's, I have like you might call this a minimum viable product at this point, right? But at this point, I can't scale it, right? Because I just have the limited hours to do it. But that was a really good perspective as well.
And then when you have a family on top, then you have birthday events, and you have other events that around you on both sides of the family, right? When you have a family, on the spouse side and also your side.
Mm-hmm.
The bigger the family, the more events you have. You can't just ignore those events.
Yeah.
But has always been the train that you want. So those will be competing for your time. And time is something you have.
Mm-hmm.
Time is what you need to get your side hustle up and running so that it to a certain point where you can replace the other one. And that's what most people want to do. Unfortunately, it's really challenging to juggle two things at the same time.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there, Kent.
Yeah.
Yeah, and thank you so much, Kent, for sharing your journey here. Talk about how you started. You were working corporate for 17 years. You felt not challenged. You felt unfulfilled. You weren't growing, so you decided to start your entrepreneurship journey. A lot of great benefits, as you said. You got the time flexibility, location flexibility, but there's a lot of challenges as well, right? Having that time to build up a structure. Without the structure, you can't have anything at all.
Mhm.
But yeah, you shared a lot of great experiences here, Kent. I want to give you the last couple minutes here to plug anything you want. I have your LinkedIn profile here, linkedin.com/in/Kent Van Ho. Yeah, anything you want to plug? I know you have a couple programs that you help people with as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, we do help business owners who just starting out, launching their business, and they have a hard time trying to get qualified opportunities coming to them. You know, and I faced the same thing when I first started out my business, and I did talk to about 200 to 300 business owners a month. They all the common denominator that they share with me was that how do you get qualified opportunities to come to you? So that was like a huge pain point that they had, and we developed a client accelerator program, which is one of the programs to help solve that pain point. And in fact, we have an AI software that we built in-house that runs on LinkedIn Marketplace
Mm.
that automatically deliver the hot leads to your calendar. So it's a really hot and demanding
Hmm.
service that we have. And then also I'm offering my service to help those that who are in the corporate world, like how I was, and they really have have a taste of the corporate world and they've been in it for a while, like how I have, and then they have an idea on how to start a side hustle or how to start an online business, on what do they want to do, but they need that mentor or
Mm.
somebody to guide them through the process, right? To compress time and not make the same mistakes that I. So I offer those kind of mentorship for them as well. It's called Quit Your 9 to 5. Quit your soul sucking 9 to 5 program.
And then is the best place for people to get in touch with you to get this information about these two programs? Is this your website here? Is this the best resource for
Yeah.
someone to get in touch with you?
That's right, alphacoast.com, and they can hop on there, learn more what it is that we do with the programs about. Hop on the discovery call if they're interested, and yeah, we just chat.
All right. So make sure everyone go check out Kent's website here, www.alphacoast.com. It's two different programs on how to scale your business and how to quit your 9 to 5 soul sucking grind, as you call it. So, yeah, thank you so much for your time, Kent. Here, any final words to wrap up here?
No, I appreciate the opportunity to come on and share stories and have a conversation with you, Stephen. I think what you're doing it's amazing. There's a lot of people out there who will benefit a lot from some of the stories that you bring forth to showcase on different platforms here. So yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, appreciate that. So again, thank you so much, Ken, for your time. Thank you to everyone who was watching, and make sure you check it out on replay as well. So have a great rest of your day, everyone, and have a great weekend. Talk to you all next week. Have a good one, everyone.